Calaroga Shark Media.
Hey, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. I feel like being conversational today. I've got some stuff on my mind. I want to tell you about Back to the Future, the musical. I want to talk about where I think comedy is right now, and I'm not sure it's on the mark at the particular moment. So let me just talk for a little bit. In the second half, we'll tell you about the comedy festivals and do some stories. Thursday night, I went into Manhattan, which if you listen to the show, you know, like, oh, I have to go to Manhattan. I would seriously rather drive to Chicago. It's easier. I would rather fly to Australia. It's easier. Getting to Manhattan is a bear. But I went because my daughter hooked me up with tickets to Back to the Future, the musical, and it was awesome. Just a good time. I'm like jonesing now to watch the movies again. The guy that plays Marty McFly does that Michael J. Fox creaky voice thing. I don't think I have a half-ass Michael J. Fox impression, but you know the voice. He nails that. The show's a lot of fun. The actors have a good time performing their roles. The special effects are amazing. It really reminded me of when you're in a waiting room at Disney World and they're trying to distract you standing there for half an hour. Just fantastic. It's closing in January, which stinks. January 5th is the last day for the Broadway run. I do see there's a Los Angeles run that goes until December 1st. There is a national tour of it. I also see San Diego dates in January and a world tour that will hit Japan and Germany. Anyway, if you can see this thing, a lot of fun. I was high on life coming home last night. So while I was in New York City, I've mentioned the New York Comedy Festival, which I'll talk about in the second half, is invisible. Now, I walked from 32nd Street and 7th Avenue up to 50th Street and 7th Avenue. So if you're not familiar with New York City, that's Times Square and the extended area. So basically, I walked from Madison Square Garden through Times Square to the Broadway district. So if you're not from New York and you think of New York, this is exactly the part of town that you think is New York City. No New York Comedy Festival. I saw Barker's holding up signs with Comedy Central logos on it, trying to get me to go to see some comedy shows. That's always the thing that goes on. But New York Comedy Festival, completely invisible. They've been nothing but good to me. It's a good festival, but New York is too big. And boy, was Times Square packed. Saturday Night Live tonight with Bill Burr. I'm very curious to see what they do tonight. I'll talk about the comedy part of it in a second. I saw this clip from Conan O'Brien. This is Bill Burr reacting to Trump being elected in 2016. So perhaps this is insight into what Bill Burr's thinking.
And I don't understand why everybody's so upset.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's going to happen to you? If you liked Obama, did he call you at all in the last 8 years? Did he ever put a sandwich on your table? You do that. You're going to keep doing that. You're going to be fine.
Right.
Everybody's like, oh, what's he going to, oh my God. Dude, I have to say, though, him winning is the most astounding thing I've ever seen.
It was a surprise.
No. Surprise. Dude, like, you're talking like Lake Placid, the Olympics, when we beat the Russian, buries that. Kurt Gibson's home run is a joke.
Right.
The Giants beating the undefeated Patriots, that's all a joke. Dude, the star of a reality show is going to run the country. The guy who decided if Brett Michaels or Cyndi Lauper would make a better CEO for a company that doesn't exist. It's going to be running stuff. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He just reminded me like when I didn't read the book and I'm just winging it, you know? I'm going to do it. How you going to do that? Oh, you'll see. You'll see. It worked.
In 2022, Bill Burr, who's hosting SNL tonight, spoke to The Hollywood Reporter. In 22, Burr said, as someone who considers self liberal, it's disappointing to see the left become how the right used to be when they went after the Dixie Chicks after they criticized George W. Bush. It's not a lot of people like that. Most of them are not trying to get in trouble, but there's this small collection of lunatics, either on the right or the left, any given moment that cause hysteria. You may recall in 2023, Bill's wife was seen giving Trump the middle finger at a UFC event. I remember the event. I forgot that it was Bill Burr's wife. Burr was on the Rich Eisen show and said, I love my wife. You know where you stand with her. The guy walked in the arena. Everybody cheered. She gave him the finger. Nobody got arrested. That's why this country's great. Everybody expressed themselves. Can we all be adults? On Threads, and I got to figure out how we refer to a thread. So much easier saying tweeted. So Triumph threaded. And I'll remind you, Robert Smigel wrote many of the all-time bits on Saturday Night Live, including Reagan Mastermind. Triumph/Smigel wrote, SNL Open that won't happen. Biden woken up, suddenly getting visits from people he hasn't heard from since July, all seeking preemptive pardons. Pelosi, Schiff, Liz Cheney, Stephanopoulos, LeBron, Bill Maher, Beyonce, plus Chris Christie and a guy who called Trump chump in college. Biden, oh, now you need me. Biden cuts deals with each of them, ranging from scoring tickets to taking someone else's shoes to smelling their hair. Somebody responded to that saying, I got an image in my mind of Maya Rudolph sitting at a piano singing Hallelujah, and now please excuse me, but I must go hurl. Yeah, SNL, you're going to have a lot of eyes on you tonight. Before I dive in today, let me quote Caroline Hirsch, who used to own Caroline's Comedy Club and has organized the New York Comedy Festival. Caroline Hirsch said, pay attention here, this is very important. Caroline Hirsch said, ideally, comedy is about taking information that may be controversial or polarizing and making it more palatable in a communal setting where everyone comes together to laugh and let off steam. We live in a country where 50% of the people are pissed off and 50% are happy. How do we bring those two sides together? By making them laugh. Laughing is a healing process. It soothes the soul. I'm glad I found that quote from Caroline because I have struggled to capture my feelings here, and I think Caroline has captured them. Again, comedy is about taking information that may be controversial or polarizing and making it more palatable in a communal setting where everyone comes together to laugh and let off steam. Let's dive in. So where I am with the election, and stay with me if you listen to me every day, you kind of get my vibe here. I was not surprised at all by the result. Whatever my political opinions are, I was not surprised by the result, and I think Hacks on Tap, which is a podcast, nailed the vibe, and I'm leading up to something here. You may recall, Tony Hinchcliffe told a joke, terrible joke. He told one joke. It was a joke in the middle of a 6-hour event, in the middle of a 4-month campaign. And they drilled down on it, and everybody focused on that. And then I look at my friend Tom. My friend Tom has to work 6 days a week. I'm friends with some people who were very happy at the result this week. I'm friends with some people who were very unhappy at the result this week. Hacks on Tap talked about the optics. So say you're standing on a stage with Beyonce and Bruce Springsteen. Hacks on Tap said, you got to understand how off-putting this is to so much of America. It feels very comfortable if you're having a dinner party at Tina Fey's house. But out there where they're bending metal and parking squad cars for a living, it's not only a shortcoming, it's an off-putting vibe. That's how I feel about comedy right now. I get where the late night hosts are coming from. I get that comedy is supposed to comment on the current situation. I think late night is not helping themselves this week. I've mentioned here we have a podcast called Ballot, which makes fun of politics. I'm working with AI to take stories and make fun of the stories. If there's comedy to be mined, we make fun of it. Pure comedy, Trump is a more colorful character than Harris was. Joe Biden, you can make old jokes. J.D. Vance is a bit of a character. Tim Walz was a bit of a character. So we throw those things in there and we make fun of it all. Since the election, we've taken the point of view of us. We never made fun of Trump. What are you talking about? We love Trump. And we're having fun with that. And then we talk about how much we love Trump while making fun of the stories. I think the late night guys are off tone this week. Jimmy Kimmel said, let me tell you, that was the worst Taco Tuesday of my whole life. We had the choice between a prosecutor and a criminal, and we chose the criminal to be the president of the United States. More than half this country voted for the criminal who was planning to pardon himself for his crimes. The part I'll pick out there is more than half the country voted for the guy, and Kimmel, I thought this joke was terrible. Donald Trump is like the Emperor from Star Wars. He's old, he's evil, and he keeps coming back with no reasonable explanation whatsoever. So a super topical 2018-2019 Rise of Skywalker joke? A better joke, Kimmel said, Kamala Harris called Trump today, she conceded, and then explained what the word conceded means. See, that's funny. Kimmel joked, I can't stay for another 4 years of this. My only request to President-elect Trump is that he let me share a prison cell with Taylor Swift. I'm really good at making bracelets, and I think we get along just fine. Stephen Colbert said, hey there, how you doing? If you watch this show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. Yeah, me neither. Some people said to me, sorry you have to do a show tonight, which is nice of them to say, but I don't have to do a show. I get to do a show. There'll be jokes because it's what we do, and I'll let you in on a little secret. No one gets into this business because everything in their life worked out great. So we're built for rough roads. You guys ready? Seth Meyers said, I don't think Donald Trump's a good person. I'll even go as far as saying he's a bad person. Now, in my defense, I'm only basing that on everything I've ever been taught about what makes someone good or bad. This is real and something I accept. Half the country thinks he's a good person or don't care that he's not and thinks he's a good person, and because of that, he's going to be our president again. Jimmy Fallon, hack joke. Well, guys, last night America decided to get back with a crazy ex and elect Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States. No matter who you voted for, I think we can all agree that it's going to be a rough Thanksgiving. I assume there's a punchline in there somewhere. Kimmel then the next night went on about Elon Musk and said, at least my children like me, which, again, I guess there's a joke in there somewhere. Now, you probably just heard that segment and think you know who I voted for. You're wrong. Just from a comedy standpoint, I think it's off tone right now. Joe Rogan had on comedian and libertarian Dave Smith, who does a political podcast of sorts. I like listening to all sorts of things, and I have a brain. I can listen to things, whether it's Joe Rogan or Stephen Colbert. They might have different takes on things, and I listen to things, and sometimes I go, interesting point, and other times I listen to things, and I go, that's crazy talk. Rogan has advice for Trump and said, this is one of the first times ever where there's a real chance to make real tangible change that's going to be for the good of everybody. He's got to unite people. He's got to not attack the left and not attack everybody. Let them all talk their crap, but unite. Now it's time to unite everybody. Rogan said, it's Donald Trump as the messenger. It was so polarizing that people lost what's really going on just based on who this guy is. Just like Tony Hinchcliffe is an insult comic, Donald Trump's entire career is you're fired, you're a loser. Rosie O'Donnell's a loser. Like, that's his whole shtick. Recently, Rogan talked about Obama and said he didn't come through on a lot of things, but as far as like a representative of the United States, who better than Obama? He's the best of all time, the most educated and eloquent and even keeled. And he was a statesman, and the way he spoke inspired confidence that truly the wisest among us is the king. I listened to a bunch of Rogans. I don't know if it was the Dave Smith one or if it was Tim Dillon or maybe a different one, but he pointed out Harris, who did not appear on the Rogan podcast. According to Rogan, Harris wanted Rogan to go to him. Rogan pointed out Obama was the sitting president and went to Mark Maron's garage. Jay Leno thinks the election was a great day for democracy. The nice thing about the election is it was fair, it was honest. I was not a fan, but that's okay. It's the President of the United States. Let's all get together. Thank you very much. In his view, the election was done professionally. There was no cheating. Everybody says it was honest. I mean, it's a great day for democracy. In my day, you kind of made fun of both sides. And I agree with Jay Leno. Jay Leno had a very successful run hosting The Tonight Show. Make fun of both sides. Wherever the comedy is, find the comedy there. Leno said, you'd get angry letters from both sides. Now you kind of have to take a side, and yeah, it's a little bit different. David Letterman's social account, it's unclear if David Letterman himself handles it. It's unclear if David Letterman approves these things. But David Letterman's Instagram account posted a video of Green Day performing America Idiot just hours after Trump was declared the victor. Anyway, Back to the Future, the musical. It's really good. You know, this one got overshadowed, the 312 Comedy Festival in Chicago, and they've got great artists. Now, it's been going on since Wednesday, and I've talked about this during the week. Weird week to schedule things, guys. And I did prep the show. It didn't come up. You got no Google results, and I forgot that this thing was going on. But tonight at the Chicago Theater at 5 o'clock, Larry David, Nate Jackson plays at 7 at the Riviera. Ryan Long has a show at Zanies at 7. Angelo Colina at Park West at 7. Kevin Herrera at Zanies, 7:15. Mark Normand at the Chicago Theater, 8 o'clock. Lisa Traeger's at Zanies. Kevin Herrera with a late show at Zanies. The New York Comedy Festival. I don't want to read every show. It is a pretty big festival, but let's see what's interesting here. What's Bada Swing? That sounds like a show that Gianmarco Cerezi and I were making fun of when I had him as a guest recently. Michelle Chan Bennett and Josh Nasser are Bobby Bingus and Tommy Linguini, two 1960s crooners whose careers, livers, and opinions have seen better days. That sounds like a good time. We're allowed to make fun of things again, right? Yes? We're not going to freak out. The Italian-American Defamation Society is not going to show up because somebody did a character named Tommy Linguini, right? I don't know. Maybe they are. And I think this is back to the vibe. We used to be able to just get along and kind of have fun. Not everything has to be a big deal. It's a comedy show. Jimmy O. Yang, Carnegie Hall at 7 o'clock. Awesome. Joe List at Town Hall at 7. Jordan Jensen at Gramercy at 7. Sophie Duker at Union Hall at 7:30. Joel Kim Booster at the Bell House at 7:30. Judd Apatow and Friends at 8 o'clock. That's a fundraiser, right? I'm asking you as if I'm not hosting the show. It doesn't actually say, and it doesn't say who the friends are either. It's a little hard to... You got to tell me who's on the lineup, guys. Don't Tell Comedy at 8 o'clock. What's the location? That's how Don't Tell Comedy works. It's a secret. Indoor location, BYOB show. That's all we know. Sam Morrison and Friends. Sam is really good. That's a name you should know at the Littlefield at 8. Sophie Buttle at Second City at 8:30. A lot of shows tonight. And believe me, I'm skipping a lot. I'm not reading the whole thing here. Jimmy O. Yang, a second show at 9:45. Joel Kim Booster, second show at 10. The Mr. Rogers Variety Hour. Oh, that's tomorrow. All right. Well, that's the cliffhanger. I don't know what it is. I almost clicked on it. We'll see what that is tomorrow. And I think it's time for me to go. If anyone is still listening, I probably lost everybody in the first half. What are you going to do? I'm going to leave you with this TikTok that somebody sent me. See you tomorrow.
So you know how those lids are because this is, well, I'm just going to speak, okay? So this is it. So you know how those lids on the Starbucks cups, they're white, right? And so if you wear lipstick, they get all over the lid. And so then I find myself in meetings if I'm the only woman, and that's kind of it. So I keep taking the lid off and having my cup out so that I don't have that big lipstick mark on the lid. So I said, can we do something about the color of the lid? So that was that conversation.